Hey guys, you're watching That Tattoo Chick, and this is the Malleus Maleficarum Part 1, Question 2. And the question basically is, does the devil and a witch have to work together to work magic? In other words, could a devil do magic by himself? And could a witch do magic by herself or himself? In Kramer's case, witches are almost always female. So, anyway. And he gives, like, different arguments, like he always does. He starts off by talking about the opposition, and basically the opposition is, illness and ailments can be caused by bad air, meaning that it doesn't necessarily, like, if you get sick or something bad happens to you, it doesn't necessarily mean it was caused by a witch. And then he goes on to reference the Bible, such as Job and Sarah, and how they were both besieged by the devil and had horrible shit happen to them, but that was through the permission of God, and a witch was not present during that. And that the belief isn't necessarily that the devil needs the witch, just that the devil wants the soul of the witch. In other words, wants the witch's perdition against the Catholic faith or whatever. But Kramer says that the devil is a spirit, and therefore can't make physical contact to use evil or magic, and so that's where the witch comes into play. The witch has to be that physical intermediary to work evil in the world, unless the devil has the express permission of God. And basically what he's saying is that, witches are allowed to work magic or do evil and work with the devil through the permission of God. And he goes on to say that women, he compares women to a lodestone, which has magnetic properties. Back then they couldn't understand that the lodestone was magnetic. They just knew that it had some kind of power, some kind of force that pulled certain things to it. And that's what he's saying that women have the ability to do. Basically he's saying that women have powers that you can't see but have a very physical effect on the world. And one of the things that he goes on to use in support of this is the fact that that women have knowledge of herbs. They can use them to heal people. That if a woman is on her period and she looks at you directly, that it can cause you harm or curse you somehow. But then he goes on to say that saints do otherworldly things, that would seem like magic, but they're not magic. They're miracles. Whatever. And then he talks about the argument that maybe witches work by some natural means, not necessarily by the means of the devil, and he goes on to say no, because they are called witches simply because they work through the aid of the devil. They call up blights and storms, sickness, famine, madness, and incite lust in men, and all these are evil things, and so they are influenced by the devil. He goes on to say that the first relationship between the devil and a witch was with Zoroaster, who was inspired to study the stars by the devil. And apparently that is like one of the practices of witches. We study the stars, which we do. Shit happens. But he lumps it in with divination. And there's 3 different kinds of divination: necromancy, or necromancy, whatever, astrology, and aneromancy. And those are the 3 different kinds of divination, and that's what witches practice. He goes on to talk about, like, superstition and stuff like that, and that witches practice superstition. But then he goes on to talk about basilisks and incubi and succubi, and that there are 4 different things that a witch has to do to become a witch. And the first one is to renounce the Catholic faith. The second one is to devote themselves completely, body and soul, to the devil and to evil. And offer up, the third being offering up unbaptized children as a sacrifice to the devil. And the fourth one being that they have to have sex with demons. So, all these are heresies, and this is exactly how someone becomes a witch. Therefore, a witch and the devil have to work hand in hand. They can't work separately from the other without the express permission from God. And he comes to this final point But he goes through a lot of different avenues to get there. So he's kind of taking a very roundabout way to get to his point. And I think that he's doing that to try to confuse the reader into agreeing with him, because he pretty much just rambles and rambles and rambles and rambles about the horrible things that witches do, and talks about how old women can cause evil by looking at someone, but that's not necessarily the work of the devil. That's just part of that power that women naturally have that men just don't understand. I don't know exactly. You know, he contradicts himself quite a bit. So I mean, he takes a very roundabout way of getting to his point. So that's pretty much what he's saying, basically. So that's pretty much the synopsis of part 1, question 2, and the next one will be, it'll be part 1, question 3, whether children can be generated by incubi and succubi. Basically, the next one will be, well, I said in this previous chapter that witches have to have sex with demons in order to be witches, is one of the things that they have to do, prerequisite, so to speak, and whether or not demons can produce children. So that will be the next chapter. So, anyway, merry meet, merry part, until we merry meet again. Blessed be.